Hello and welcome to The In-Between. This is the demo for a boys' love visual novel with a modern fantasy setting, and we're just going to jump right into it.
Dearest Micah, do you believe in ghosts? In spirits? In demons? I do. There's a world right on the edge of your consciousness. But not everyone can see it. Those of us with the sight have a duty to protect, to maintain. I deeply apologize for what I must do, my son. I love you. Edwin Riley. P.S. Happy birthday, Micah. How I wish I could be spending it with you.
A world away from ghosts, from demons and spirits, was a young man named Micah Riley. At 24 years old, he just recently graduated from the Dynasty Institute, a highly competitive and prestigious university with a diploma in business. It wasn't his first choice, possibly not even his second, but his uncle was the dean of the business school and his aunt was one of the lecturers, so it's what was expected of him. However, he was able to take some summer classes in art, on the condition that he could also hold down a part-time job. He chose a local cafe, cozy but chic. He instantly fell in love with the place. He used to visit this place almost every day when he started university. The atmosphere helped him think. Mary ran the business side of things, but was also a skilled barista, teaching him how to do latte art, which he got pretty damn good at, thank you very much. Chef Thomas taught him how to cook and prepare the menu items. He was also the one who encouraged him to enroll in the art course. Both he and Mary enthusiastically offering to hire him. A husband and wife duo, and incredible people. Today, though, he had been given the day off, a rare occurrence for the conscientious Micah. University was finally done, and his roommate, Leonardo Addy, was moving out of the apartment they rented together. The building was nothing special, just a regular apartment you could find anywhere. It looks very nice, though. Come on. What made it so appealing was the rent discount that a student could get on the place thanks to the university. Otherwise, Micah was sure they would have ended up in a shoebox of an apartment. Leon, as Micah called him, was moving to work with his father across town. It wasn't far from the apartment by any means, but this building didn't have parking, and as he was starting a new venture in real estate, he needed somewhere he could keep a car. So he was reluctantly moving. Still, he threatened time and time again that he would visit as much as humanly possible. Micah and Leon had known each other since they were kids in kindergarten, but it wasn't until they coincidentally ended up living together that they actually became friends. And they were roommates, huh? But not anymore? Okay. They attended the same school throughout the years, but were in different classes. They knew each other's faces, but not really who they were. You know how it goes. Somehow, it was already moving day for Leon. The lounge room was slowly filling up with his boxes. Micah was still shocked by how much stuff one guy could accrue in 4 years. Sorry, just I'm getting hit with memories of my overseas stay where I was for only 10 months. But oh my god, the stuff I accumulated. Serious shopping addiction. Yep, okay, guilty.
Leon! You ready yet? It'll be dark by the time you manage to tape these up.
He was seriously procrastinating, as per usual. Why does Leon sound more and more like me? Ooh.
All right, I'm going as fast as I can.
Tisk, tisk. Moving on your best friend's birthday and taking your sweet time doing it? Typical.
Today was November 15th, which just so happened to be Micah's 24th birthday. He wasn't actually upset about Leon moving today of all days. Not really. It wasn't something he'd ever particularly celebrated after all. He did, however, really enjoy tormenting Leon about it, who was, as it turns out, quite upset about the date. Micah tousled Leon's hair as he walked out with the final box. Surprisingly, he was going straight to work once the movers took all the boxes, so he was already dressed in his new suit. Okay, that explains it. I was wondering if he's always walking around with that, but sure. It was quite a sight, a young suited man carrying out boxes that were definitely too heavy for him, while trying to pretend he wasn't on the verge of crying about the whole situation.
I didn't pick the moving day. You know how sorry I am. I would much rather stay and celebrate with you, but my old man was determined that I had to start today.
He looked so sad that Micah actually felt a little bit bad for him. He didn't want him to go either, of course. They had fun living together, but it wasn't like they would stop being friends just because they didn't anymore.
All right, no need to cry. Seriously, you'll make me cry too.
I'm not!
He totally, undoubtedly was. They spent the rest of the morning sealing boxes and moving them to the front door, ready for the movers. It was hard work, considering how many boxes he'd managed to fill.
Catch you later, man. Come by the cafe when you're free next.
I wonder when that'll be. Dad's got me booked solid for a month.
Don't worry, there's no rush. Anyway, that sounds pretty rough. Good luck.
Thanks. I think I'm gonna need it.
As Leon leaves mid-morning, Michael sighs. At least he gets out of celebrating his birthday this year. Oh. Oh, cool. So we have a text. Did I say happy birthday? Happy birthday! Yes, you said happy birthday already. Now get to work. Don't want to get fired on your first day. Okay, that's cool that they did this interface. Huh, he's such an idiot. Leon was only slightly younger, but sometimes he acted like a lost kid. Any excuse to text or call, and he'd take it. It was endearing, if not a little tiresome on occasion. Still, it made Micah smile as he locked his phone, slumping down on the couch. Moving was seriously exhausting, and it wasn't even him who moved. Maybe he'll take a nap. A sudden roar of thunder and a flash through the sky woke Micah with a start. It was dark. The room was nearly pitch black. From the storm? Or had he slept all day? He rubbed his head. He'd been getting some killer headaches lately, and the sleeping pattern was all over the place. With a yawn, he lifted his phone to check the time as he reached over to turn on the lamp beside him, squinting as the sudden brightness hit his tired eyes. Oh man, he sighed. Slept the whole day. He'd catch up on the messages later, he decided. Micah rubbed his forehead again, trying to calm the headache. He had been having a dream. It seemed so real. But now he couldn't even remember what it was. It was right on the cusp of his mind, but out of reach. His family didn't really celebrate birthdays, but he did have one tradition. Every birthday it would rain, without fail. He would sit by a window, listening to his favorite music, and sketch. He loved the rain. It was melancholic. One of his earliest memories was playing in the rain with his someone? Who was that again? He frowned. He couldn't remember his face. He knew it was a young man playing with him, but he couldn't remember who he was. He held onto his head tighter now, feeling his headache getting worse. It always got worse when he tried to remember his childhood. All he could remember was that smiling face through a deep haze. Sometimes it seemed so clear he could almost make out his features. Other times, nothing. Micah got off the couch with an effort unbecoming of one in his early 20s and wandered towards the balcony doors. Watching the rain outside made him feel calmer. He breathed out on the glass of the doors. He wrote a single word in the fog. A name. Edwin. Followed by another. Riley. This name, he was sure it belonged to his father. He was sure that's whose face he saw when he remembered playing in the rain. The name on the letter he kept hidden from his Aunt Caroline. She didn't like any mention of Micah's parents. It seemed like she wasn't very fond of them. Micah was raised by his aunt and uncle. They weren't bad people at all, but he never felt like they actually wanted him around. He did what he was told, studied what they wanted him to. He learned to never ever ask about his family. He knew only that his father was his aunt's brother. The subject was banned early on when he came to live with them, for some unknown reason. He couldn't remember much before then, just that when he awoke in the hospital, his Aunt Caroline told him he would be living with her now. He would never see the wretched old man ever again. She wouldn't tell him who this wretched old man was, though, but somehow the thought of not seeing him made him sad, even if he didn't know why.
I suppose I should get back to Leon before he worries I fell asleep means something horrible has happened. He'll end up coming back over in a panic.
He worries too much, honestly. Still, it's nice that he cares so much. The rest of the night was spent chatting to Leon before he finally dragged himself to his bedroom to sleep once again. A groggy Micah awakens from his restless slumber. Another night where he felt as if he barely slept. These headaches were getting worse. He was back at work today, glad for the distraction. He wasn't much of a fan of having too much time to think, all alone here. Sooner or later he'd have to face his aunt and the business career she wanted for him. He didn't know what he wanted to do, really. He was happy for now just being at the cafe. The cafe was locally famous for its delicious food and creative latte art. One thing he in particular was known for was drawing cartoon cats and rabbits on kids' meals and sauce. It was definitely popular with the children. It could be kind of fun to run his own kitchen one day, he thought to himself. As he was thinking, he was dressing. He liked the uniform from Merriment Cafe too. Comfortable, but also pretty stylish. But that's not the uniform, is it? Wait. Somehow, it was already time to get going. Since he had to ride his bike to work, he'd usually get changed in the staff bathroom when he got there. Okay, that's that. Quickly, he grabbed his uniform bag and headed for the door.
Morning, boss.
Huh? Oh! And a fabulous morning to you as well, Micah.
I'm gonna head out back and change. I'll be right back.
Sure thing. Oh, Micah! While you're out there, will you remind Thomas to check on the new blend, please?
The morning was busy as usual, regulars and new visitors alike. Micah was a popular server, and he had customers who came in just to see him. Mary found it amusing, to say the least. She would regularly call him the poster boy. He found it incredibly embarrassing. He didn't do anything special. He just liked making art on food and seeing people's faces when they saw it.
Hey, man! Can I get a double caramel latte, please?
With extra sprinkles?
Yeah. Hey, wait!
Leon.
Thought you were slammed for the whole month.
You got a break soon? I've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I finish in a couple of minutes, actually.
Excellent timing, as always.
Yeah, right. Like you didn't already know that.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean?
That'll be $3.95, sir.
Sir?
Earth to Leon? You gonna pay for your sugar attack or just stand there like a space cadet?
A deep blush covered Leon's face.
Yeah. Sorry.
Grab a table and I'll bring it over to you when it's ready.
Yeah. Thanks.
He paid for his drink and sat down at the table, as directed. He looked so awkward waiting, Micah couldn't help but wonder what was up with him. Was work that rough yesterday?
Okay, break time.
Or he just misses you?
Hey, never mind.
Yeah, sure, we're gonna question him.
Leon, are you okay?
Yeah. Don't worry about me.
You sure? Nothing's up?
Micah decided to switch gears.
So, how did the job go yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
He perked up as he found something he could talk about. Well, he wanted to talk to Micah, didn't he? Now it's lost for words?
Dad assigned me to this weird old place on the outskirts.
The outskirts? Didn't know anything was out there.
Yep. Out near the haunted forest you love so much.
Haunted forest.
What? No, I don't.
I'm just kidding. I know you're a big fraidy cat when it comes to ghosts.
He sneezed at the word cat and pulled a disapproving face.
That's what you get.
So allergic to cats, even mentioning one makes him sneeze. What a sad existence. Indeed.
Seriously, though, the old man is really fixated on this place.
Why's that?
That's the thing. I don't know. I went there to check it out, but it just looks like an abandoned building on a lot of land. Nothing particularly special.
Old buildings get sold all the time. He probably just thinks it's an easy sell for the newbie.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
They chat some more until Micah's break is over. The words flow easily, just as they always had between them. Wait, it's just been a day, right? Okay. As Leon stands to leave, he suddenly turns back to face Micah.
Oh, by the way, shoot me a text when you clock out. I have some time tonight. We should grab dinner for your birthday since we couldn't yesterday.
And here I thought I escaped the celebrations.
Micah.
All right. I'll text you. No need to make that face.
Leon grinned in response and walked out of the cafe with a carefree wave. With yet another sigh, Micah shook his head and smiled to himself before getting back to work. Come on, it's just dinner. That's not like a big party. You can get over one dinner with a friend on your birthday. The shift passed by quickly after that. A steady stream of customers kept Micah busy enough that time seemed to fly, just how he liked it. He glanced up at the clock. Knock-off time already. A moment later, and he changed back out of his uniform and prepared to leave. He dug his hand into his pocket, searching for his phone to text Leon. But nothing was there. With a frown, he checked his other pocket. Not there either.
Oh, shit. Great. This is just great.
Where could it have gone? He rushed back into the staff room and scanned over the area. Nothing. It was nowhere in sight. Then, somewhere in the cafe, could it have fallen out of his pocket? 10 minutes later, he rubbed at his temples. It wasn't anywhere. Did he even have it with him this morning? Maybe he left it behind. His mind raced with possibilities. He rushed out the cafe doors, calling out with a hasty goodbye to Mary, and grabbed his bike to quickly get home. He pedaled hard, desperately hoping he simply left it behind and didn't lose it on the ride in. It would be such a huge pain to have lost it for real. Even disregarding the cost of a new phone, he would have lost everything he kept on it. The ride home was stressful. Everything that could get in his way did. How come only when he was in a rush did people feel like suddenly appearing in front of his bike? When he finally got back to the apartment and found it sitting on the end of his bed under his nightshirt, he was too exhausted to want to do anything. Relief washed over him as he flopped down on his bed and absent-mindedly scrolled through his notifications. Junk emails, social media nonsense, a million texts from Leon, and a missed call from an unknown number.
Weird. Wonder who that was. Don't usually get many calls.
Even more surprisingly, they left no message. Don't tell me you're going to call back. Like, I wouldn't. Sometimes it's just scam calls, but okay. Probably gonna be important for the plot. He stared at the number for a moment before curiosity got the better of him and he searched up the number. Yeah, that's what you do.
Lawyer?
He screwed up his face, utterly confused.
Maybe they got the wrong number? What would a lawyer want with me?
And why didn't they leave a message? Like, if it's a lawyer, it should be important, right? He looked at the page for a while longer, trying to decide what to do. Should he call them back? They didn't leave a message though, so maybe it was a wrong number after all? He scrolled through the rest of his missed notifications, skim-reading through all of Leon's messages. To make his 37-message stream of text short, it seemed as if he spent some more time dealing with their rural property since he left the cafe. His dad really wanted it, by the sound of it. Finally, he was all caught up. He felt bad. He'd promised Leon he would text him back as soon as his shift finished, but that became a little difficult to do without his phone. Micah was still thinking about the missed call too, absent-mindedly scrolling through nothing as he stared aimlessly at his device. Call Leon, call back the mystery number. I mean, we can do both, right? But call Leon, he's gonna be worried. Micah quickly opened his contacts list, scrolling down the endless list of names to find Leon. Not. He actually didn't have many people on there. His aunt, uncle, the cafe, Leon, and a few others he was friendly enough with, but never actually texted. He stopped at Leon's name. He did promise to let him know when he was finished working. It was just a little later than expected. Still, he'd kept his promise. Just as Micah went to hit the call button, his phone started to buzz. He jumped up in surprise, nearly dropping his phone. Barely catching it, he caught sight of the caller ID. It was that same number. And this time he was available to answer it. He rushed to his desk where he kept his notebook, just in case.
Hello?
Good evening. Mr. Malcolm Riley, I presume.
Malcolm? The right family name, but who was Malcolm?
May I ask who's calling?
Forgive me, where are my manners? Arthur Harris, administrator to the estate of the late Gregory Riley. I'm calling about the last will and testament in regards to the unresolved inheritance to one M. Riley.
Gregory Riley. He had heard that name before, but where? Micah had yet to respond, but the man continued talking.
You're a hard man to find, Oh, sorry, I seem to recall you preferring to be known by your middle name, Edwin. Is that still accurate? Forgive me, it has been many years since I last saw you or your father.
You. You or your father. Those words pounded in his head like a drum. Who was this person? He said Edwin. Edwin Riley was the name of his father. He was sure of that. He swallowed hard. His whole body felt heavy, like it was suddenly constructed of lead. All of his attention was directed to that voice he could hear through his phone. You or your father?
Edwin, are you there?
I'm not Edwin. Edwin's my father, but...
He's been gone for years. Wait. For some reason, he decided against telling him that. Maybe I could find out more from this man if I pretend he's still here, but just not available. He swallowed again. It was almost painful how anxious he was.
He's not available at the moment. May I help you with something?
Edwin's son? My. You must be little Michaelia then. Has it really been that long?
Michaelia? It was technically his full name, but no one called him that, ever. Not even his aunt, who was a stickler for proper language and names. In fact, he didn't have any recollection of anyone calling him by that name, so how did this man know it?
You know my father, then?
I do indeed. I haven't heard from him since your grandfather passed, however. I've been trying to get in contact with him about the estate for quite some time. And of course, I finally find a lead, and it ends up being his son.
Then, could you tell me more about the estate?
I shouldn't really.
Michael struggled not to curse out of frustration.
But since it's taken me so long to find your father, and you are technically an M. Riley, I see no harm.
Thank you, sir.
Such a polite young man. Gregory would be proud indeed. I have the afternoon free. What say we meet for a late lunch and go over the details I have to share with you? I would very much like to see how much my dear friend's grandson has grown after all these years.
That sounds fine. We could meet at the Merriment Cafe, if you've heard of it.
Very well. Merriment it is. 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
With that, the call was over. Micah's heart raced. He had finally met someone who knew his father, and his grandfather too. Micah looked at the call log on his phone to make sure he wasn't imagining this. Oh shit, Leon! He didn't know if he had the mental fortitude to take on socializing right now. He had so much to think about. His father and grandfather? I should text him. But actually, wouldn't you like... I think I would rant to my friend about this. But okay, you do you. Everyone deals with things differently. Oh, we can't actually select anything else. Just a text, but I still really like this feature. This is cool. Hey, man. Sorry about this evening. I left my phone at home. And something came up. Sorry. I should have messaged you before. Oh, it's okay. Everything all right? Yeah, it's all good. Just family stuff. Nothing special. Liar. Oh, well, I guess I'll let you get back to it then. Yeah, thanks, man. I'll catch up with you later, okay? It was special, of course. Nothing about it wasn't special. He just didn't want to say anything before he knew for sure what it was about. Okay, that's fair. The typing appeared and disappeared, appeared and disappeared. Leon seemed to have something to say, but in the end, he never said it. Sleep did not come easy that night, and when it did, it was that same dream, the hazy figure smiling at him as they played in a puddle. Who are you? Why can't I remember you? The room was still dark, the night air heavy as Micah awoke. No longer able to tolerate the shallow sleep of the night, he laid awake staring at the ceiling. Agonizingly slowly, the day broke, and the room started to lighten, chasing away the last wisps of that haze-filled dream. As the sun rose, so did Micah's anxiety. That phone call from yesterday was finally sinking in. He might find something out about his family today. Finally. It had been 17 years since he came to live with his aunt. 17 long years of not knowing. 17 years since waking up in that hospital bed, with no memory of how he got there, what he'd been doing, how he ended up there, and who he was with. Every time he tried to ask about his parents, his aunt would shut down the conversation or change the subject in some way. But today, she couldn't stop him asking. Pacing around the apartment was all he was capable of at that moment. It was all he could manage. "11 a.m. Enough was enough. There was only so much pacing one man could do. With his mind still filled with thoughts of that lawyer, Micah decided that he should just head to Merriment early. Anything was better than pacing back and forth any longer. He'd make up some excuse about wanting to watch Thomas in the kitchen or practice a new latte art. Something, anything would do. As he walked through the doors of the cafe, Micah desperately tried to calm his quickening heartbeat. If he spent some time messing about here for a while, it would surely start going quickly, right? Micah recalled something about Thomas trying out a new menu item today too, a worthy distraction. Eventually, thoughts of the meeting began to melt away as he watched Thomas cooking in the kitchen. Before long, he found himself sketching the meal at different stages of preparation. What he first thought would be a useful skill, his food drawings had become somewhat useful. What he first thought would be a useless skill, his food drawings had become somewhat useful and were used on Mary's menu. He checked his phone nervously. 1:25. Oh. Time went so slowly at first, but spending time in the cafe drawing and chatting to Thomas actually made time go much quicker than he expected. He took a deep breath. He felt much calmer, thankful for the distraction this had become.
Why don't you go get a table in the dining room?
In the dining room?
Someone's got to make sure these are actually edible.
I don't think anything you could make would be inedible, but I'm not one to turn down the famous Thomas's cooking.
With a smile, Micah took a seat at one of the empty tables, and Thomas brought out his newest experiments. They looked and smelled delicious. Before him, Thomas placed 2 dishes. One wasn't really a dish as such, but the most indulgent-looking milkshake Micah had ever seen. Topped with whipped cream and chocolate powder, complete with a long spoon and a spiral straw. The second looked like a pie. The outer pastry was woven into a lattice, filled with berries and syrup. It smelled divine. Hidden beneath layers of pastry was a secret that made this more than just some pie. Micah stood transfixed as Thomas was creating this masterpiece. This dessert had a layer of cheesecake inside the pie crust and under the berries. He couldn't wait to try it. This looks and sounds amazing and I want it, thank you. Before he could dig in, however, Thomas brought out a third dish. 3?
There's more? Where did this one come from?
A special treat.
A mischievous look spread across the chef's face. He gently placed the dish in front of Micah, a smile plastered to his face.
Now you may eat. Dig in.
Oh, is it even possible I can eat all this?
You'd better. You hurt my feelings otherwise.
Micah examined the new meal with interest, trying to work out what secrets this one held.
Oh, pizza?
Try it and find out.
That's a little suspicious. Micah happily brought it to his lips and tasted it, and of course, he wasn't surprised. It was perfect, just as Thomas' cooking always was. This dish was particularly unusual, though. It looked like pizza, but once he started to eat, he realized it was actually a delicate noodle dish adorned with cheese and pepperoni. It only looked like pizza. Incredible. He couldn't help but be a little envious. How amazing it would be to be in Thomas' position, coming up with all kinds of new recipes. Still, he was thankful for the meal, if not a little curious as to what he did to deserve it. As if seeing the question mark pop up above Micah's head as he stared at the spread in front of him, Thomas laughed.
I know you don't really celebrate it, but I wouldn't be a very good chef if I didn't whip you up something special for your birthday. But more than anything, you looked a little down and anxious. You come here on your days off when you aren't feeling so good.
Does he? He hadn't really thought about it. After a moment, he realized Thomas was right. It's how he got the job in the first place.
What's on your mind, kid?
I have a meeting here soon. I think I'm about to find out who my father was.
Well, that is indeed cause for a delicious meal. It is delicious, isn't it?
Micah scoffed in response, a smile playing on his lips. He had nothing to worry about. Thomas was one of the best chefs Micah had ever met. He trained in some upscale restaurant overseas until he married Mary, and they settled into their little cafe diner. They both loved it here, and Micah always thought what a lovely couple they made. They treated him like family. He would always be grateful for their support and kindness, even if he felt like he could never pay it back in full. Thomas still cooks incredibly fancy things sometimes, but he enjoys comfort foods above all else.
Of course it's delicious. You don't even have to ask.
The food did make him feel better too. Something about a stomach full of his cooking set his mind at ease. It was amazing how a good meal could serve as a distraction. He looked down at his phone.
2 p.m. Finally.
Once again, his nerves rose, despite his best effort to keep himself calm. The bell of the door jingled, and in walked a tall, dark-skinned older man with white hair and a pressed business suit. He looked the part of lawyer, that was for sure. Micah gazed at him expectantly, standing to greet him. Although the man looked as if he matched the voice, he wondered if his assumption was correct.
Mr. Harris?
Ah, you must be the young Mr. Riley.
Yes, sir. That's me.
He fumbled over his words a little, his nerves getting the best of him.
My, how you've grown. You were just a wee tyke when I last saw you. I bet you don't remember me, do you? I don't blame you. You were very shy, hiding behind your grandfather's legs the whole time.
He chuckled, one of those nostalgic and heartwarming chuckles, like he was reliving a treasured memory. Micah swallowed hard.
Shall we sit?
Here goes nothing.
Can I ask what he was like? I've lived with my Aunt Caroline since I was young, and I don't have many memories of my grandfather.
Or my father. He seemed to be deep in thought. Micah held his breath, wondering if he'd blown any chance of finding out anything. After a while, Arthur just sighed.
That sounds like Caroline, that's for sure. She never did get along with her family. It stands to reason that she wouldn't speak of them much. How was it that you came to live with her?
Honestly, I don't really remember it very well. As a child, I got into a bad accident of some kind. When I woke up in the hospital a few weeks later, Aunt Caroline was there. She told me I would be living with her from then on.
I remember that. I've never seen Gregory more concerned about anything in my life.
Arthur folded his hands and rested his chin, eyes closed in deep thought.
Caroline.
What was he like? My grandfather, if you don't mind me asking, that is.
He was a good man, strong-willed and fierce, kind and compassionate. More than anything, he loved his family. They were the most important thing in the world to him.
He sounds nice.
I just wish I remembered him.
But he was an adventurous one. Caroline never really approved of her father and brother.
Yeah, I kind of got that impression too. But you said you had something for my father?
Yes. How could I forget?
Micah steeled himself. He wanted to know what it was, but was also afraid to know. Arthur unlatched his briefcase and from it pulled a bound document followed by a wax-sealed letter.
I have had these in my possession for 5 years. I have been seeking out Edwin to pass them on to him, but as his son, I am confident that Gregory would approve.
He slid the documents towards Micah, who couldn't help but stare. With a shaky hand, Micah pulled them towards himself. An immaculate script title, old but well cared for. It looked like a property deed. His eyes scanned the deed before moving to the letter. Can we make it out? This property deed is made the... day of the year between... the House of... Blessed? What? House of Blurred. Out of the state and the location of that will be unknown hereby belongs to Micah Riley. That's our name. It's not even made out to Edwin. Okay, his eyes scanned the deed before moving to the letter. Addressed to one M. Riley. He took a deep breath and opened it, barely managing to stop his shaking hands. My dearest Micah. His heart jolted. Micah? It was addressed to him. His eyes went wide, and he looked back up towards the lawyer. Where he was standing a moment ago was now empty space. He was gone. Where? Where could he have disappeared to that quickly? Panic flared up in Micah as his eyes darted from the letter back to the empty spot in front of him. He shot to his feet, eyes dashing around the room. He was nowhere to be seen. How can someone just vanish? Thomas gave him a quizzical look from the doorway to the kitchen, crossing his arms over his chest.
Hey, that man I was with, did you happen to see where he went? He left while I was reading.
The tension in Micah's body was making him lightheaded.
See who?
Mr. Harris, he was just here.
Sorry, Mai, I didn't see anyone. It looked like you were alone this whole time. I thought you must have been in a phone call.
The blood in Micah's body seemed to become ice cold and freeze. Alone. Alone? How? How could I have possibly been alone? He looked back at the table, the documents neatly laid where he left them. They didn't vanish. They weren't part of his imagination. These were real. How could the man who gave them to him not be? There must be some kind of mistake.
You feeling all right? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Ghost. That was the last thing Micah heard as his senses all went black. Everything hurt. His back and his shoulders, his head and his eyes. Every inch of him felt as if he'd taken a beating. Micah tried to sit up, surrounded by a vast darkness, but the effort made his head spin. He collapsed back down to what could only have been the ground, but even that he wasn't sure of. Soft. Where was he? What happened? He tried to think, but his mind felt dull, like trying to listen to someone speak while underwater. Everything felt so far away, eternally distant. Every time he tried to move or to sit up, electric tendrils spiked through his head, making him wince with pain. He gave up, accepting his fate. He'd just sleep wherever he was. The faint sound of panic that reached him faded further and further away as he lost consciousness once again. Darkness. It was so dark. Micah felt scared. Scared and alone. Why? He took a deep breath. The air smelled sweet, like honey. He couldn't tell if his eyes were open or not. In a place like this, he couldn't tell anything. The panic rose. The spikes of pain through his head were getting worse. Then, the tiny jingle of a bell, and something soft touched his face. He froze in fear. Oh, sweated away, touch it to nothing. Touch it. The feeling of a soft touch felt somewhat familiar. Micah reached up and lightly touched whatever it was. Soft. Fluffy. Fur. He let his hand travel the length of the body. It was covered in fur. A cat? What would a cat be doing here? Where even is here? He became startled as the mysterious creature rubbed its face against his. A calming purr drifted from his chest. Distracted as he was, he hadn't noticed that the longer this creature spent affectionately nuzzling against him, the less the painful the feeling in his head became. His senses were coming back, still dull, but no longer excruciating. The feline pulled back, and Micah was able to sit up. He saw it. It radiated powerful energy. By its appearance, you would never expect it to be as affectionate as it just was. Its eyes fixed on his as he stared at it. A keen intelligence mixed with what seemed to be concern. It followed his movements with its eyes. Then, with a swish of its long tail, closed the gap with an elegant pounce, coming to rest on Micah's lap. Those eyes that stared at him, so vibrant, they were beautiful. Lost in thought about how pretty the amethyst color of the feline's eyes were, Micah was surprised when the creature stretched up with its front paws on his chest, nuzzled against his cheek, and licked his forehead. His senses filled with the scent of honey. Micah raised his hand to his forehead, lightly touching the spot the feline had just moved away from. It licked me? Where the cat had licked, a warmness spread throughout his body. He suddenly felt much better, his body not hurting anymore. As he examined himself, he once again heard the bell. Micah desperately reached out, trying his best to call out to the disappearing cat. Wait, don't go! No voice left his throat and carried through the darkness. The only light he had was those eyes. Without them, everything was dark once again. He closed his eyes. He was suddenly so tired. Faded sound reached Micah as he stirred to consciousness once more. His eyes slowly opened. Taking up his entire vision was the blurry face of his best friend.
Micah! Oh, thank God.
Ugh, not so loud. My head hurts.
It was only then he realized. It didn't. His head didn't hurt, actually. It didn't hurt at all. He reached up and touched his forehead. For the first time in a long time, his head didn't hurt. Not since that cat. Is it even possible for pain to be licked away? No, that's stupid. Micah stifled a laugh, looking up towards Leon.
So dumb.
Me?
No, not you. Hey, Leon?
Yeah?
Thanks. Seriously.
Leon's face went bright red.
Don't worry about it.
He glanced away shyly, awkwardly fiddling with his tie. Finally,
Micah?
Hmm?
What happened to you?
what did happen to me?
I was hoping you could tell me. How did I get here? I was at...
At where?
The cafe? You collapsed.
The cafe. What was he doing at the cafe?
Thomas said you were acting weird and then fainted. So he called me and I brought you home.
Acting weird.
Seriously, are you okay?
Hmm? Yeah, I'm fine. I feel completely normal.
Normal people don't pass out for no reason.
Leon seemed unconvinced as he frowned deeply.
Hey, did I, have anything with me when you brought me back?
Like what? I don't think so. But I wasn't exactly worried about your things when you were sprawled out on the ground like that.
Wait, if I collapsed, why bring me back to the apartment? Why not the hospital or something?
I panicked, okay? And
And?
I didn't want to call your aunt either.
Micah's eyes went wide in surprise. His aunt. What does she know? Did she know anything? Mr. Harris didn't seem too keen on her at all. In fact, it wouldn't have been an understatement to say he disliked her.
Mr. Harris!
What? Who? Calm down, Micah. You aren't well.
Micah jumped off the living room couch he'd been placed on, bouncing to his feet.
I'm sorry. I have to go back to the cafe for something important. Thanks for everything!
Micah, wait!
And he's gone. Of course, despite Leon's words, Micah didn't wait. He almost sprinted to the door, slamming it behind him in his rush. A sadness welled up in Leon as he wondered just what had gotten into him. He looked down at his satchel bag, his eyes caught on the paper that slightly poked out. It was because of this, wasn't it? Thomas said he was reading this and started to freak out about someone going missing. Thomas also said there was no one there, just Micah reading something he couldn't quite see. Leon sighed loudly, his mind feeling all muddled. I should give it back to him, but... Micah threw open the door to the cafe, startling a few customers seated near the door, and headed straight for the table he had last been at. So focused on finding what he left behind, he walked straight past Thomas. The table still sat empty, no one sat in either seat. Mr. Harris was nowhere in sight either. Empty. Where was it? He scanned the top of the table before squatting to see underneath, feeling the seats to make sure nothing fell and got stuck anywhere. He knew it was pointless. It was impossible for something to be this hidden in the booths, but he didn't know where else to look. So focused was he on finding his letter that he completely ignored Thomas calling out his name. Wouldn't asking the staff be more productive than, like, crouching under the table? Okay. It wasn't until the large hand grabbed his shoulder that he stopped looking.
Micah, calm down. What's wrong? First you freak out about a missing stranger, then you collapse on my floor, and now you come busting in here like the devil's on your tail. This isn't like you, Mai.
Micah sighed quietly.
I'm looking for a letter. It's important to me. Really important.
Oh, a letter? You mean this?
Out of his apron, he pulled a letter, its wax seal carefully closed once again. An inexplicable relief washed over Micah.
Yes! That's it!
Any moment now he felt as if he'd burst into tears.
Oh, Thomas, I could kiss you!
Ha! You'd have to get the missus' permission for that.
Thomas put a hand on Micah's shoulder once more, squeezing tight.
Micah, why don't you take a few days off? I'll talk to Mer and let her know you've got some things to take care of.
I'm not being fired, am I?
What? No, of course not. Never. You're part of our little family here and always will be. You're like a little brother to Mary.
Micah smiled. He did feel like part of the family here. Mary and Thomas had treated him very well.
Just promise me. Just promise that once you figure out whatever's troubling you, you come tell me. All right? We're here for you. We always will be.
Looking Thomas directly in the face, Micah nodded.
I promise.
With his promise given, he clutched the envelope to his chest and headed for the door. Thomas waved him off before resuming his work in the kitchen. Quickly, Micah returned to his apartment, not once letting the envelope out of his sight. He wondered if Leon would be there when he arrived. I should apologize to him. He went out of his way to look after me, and I just took off. The door was unlocked, thankfully, as he had rushed out the door with no phone or keys. The apartment was dark, save for the corner lamp. His eyes went around the room in search for Leon, but he was already gone. No Leon in sight. Micah made his way over to the couch, plopping down into the comfortable cushions. As he sat down to read the letter he retrieved from the cafe, he noticed a hastily scrawled note on the coffee table. I had to go, but I hope you feel better now, and call me if you need anything. Anything. 3, 4, 5 underlines under anything. He really meant anything. Leon's handwriting was terrible, so for him to have left a note meant he must have noticed that Micah didn't have his phone. No, it's not that terrible, I can still read it. Oh well. He really notices everything, doesn't he? But did we... Sorry, but we did have this hint that he had the deed, right? Not the letter, but the deed. And he kept it? Oh well. With a deep breath, Micah opened the envelope once again. My dearest Micah, if my charm was successful, then you have no memory of me or the place you must go. But if you are reading this, it means that I am no longer in this world, and that this charm is now starting to fail. You are in danger. I am so sorry, my dear boy. I have failed you. With this letter, you will find a deed. Go there. You will understand everything once you do. With love, with regret, with hope, Gregory Riley, your grandfather. Reading this more times than he could count didn't make the letter make any more sense. Charm? Memory? He was in danger? It was true he had very little memory of his childhood, but was this why? Was something done to him? His heart was racing, the beating loud in his head. He had to know. There was no other choice but to know, to find out the truth. The letter talked about a deed, though. Wasn't there something else with the letter? Did I imagine it? He closed his eyes and tried to visualize when he got the letter. I got a call from a lawyer, a man named Mr. Arthur Harris. He said he knew my grandfather and had something for my father. We met at the cafe. He gave me 2 things, a sealed letter addressed to me and a document with the name Magnus Inn written on it. When I looked up from these documents, Mr. Harris was gone. That was all he could remember. He must have collapsed immediately after that. Magnus Inn. That could only be the deed that the letter spoke of. They were together, after all. Where did it go, though? Thomas didn't give it to him. His entire body felt heavy. Too many things had happened today. He wasn't sure how it all happened in only one day. An overwhelming fatigue washed over him, and he was unable to keep his eyes open. He slumped back on the couch and fell into a deep but restless sleep. Well, I think we know where the deed is.
Can I take your order?
Have you seen anything you like, darling?
I want a strawberry cupcake.
Sweetie?
1 strawberry cupcake on its way.
Just a latte for me, please, dear.
Micah left and returned momentarily with her order. It was another slow day at the cafe. Even though he had gotten permission and insistence that he take a few days off, he couldn't tolerate any more resting. He had looked around the cafe for the other document, but found no luck. He wondered where it could have gone, if not here. Did someone take it? But who could have? He hadn't seen Leon since that day in the apartment either, and he wasn't replying to his texts anymore. It was starting to make him worry. That wasn't like Leon at all. Usually he couldn't stay away if he tried. The day passed as any other. Micah lost in thought at the cafe during the day, barely sleeping at night. Life went on as normal, despite him feeling anything but. A few more days passed with no response from Leon, and a few more sleepless nights. Before Micah knew it, a whole 2 weeks had passed. Oh boy, it's never good news when she calls. Cute.
Hello?
Micah, I'm going to be forwarding a package to you. I need you to sign it and send it back to me immediately.
Straight to business as usual, not even a hello.
What is it?
It doesn't matter what it is, Micah. It doesn't concern you. All you need to do is sign it when delivered and give it back to the courier. Do you understand?
If it doesn't concern me, why do I have to sign it?
Yeah, right. Okay, I've got it.
He rolled his eyes. He had to stop himself from laughing at the thought that she might somehow be able to tell. It wouldn't have surprised him. Yes, she seems like the type of person.
I don't appreciate your attitude, but as long as you understand that this is time-sensitive and demands your immediate attention, then you may go.
Maybe she could tell. Before Micah could respond, the call ended. That was pleasant. Micah sighed. She was always like this, fully focused on business and work. She treated him more like an incompetent employee than a nephew. Still, this must be important if she actually took the time out of her day and called for it. Even more interesting that it had something to do with him. Something about her words sent a shiver down his spine, as if every fiber of his being was screaming out for him not to sign whatever it was. "You're in danger." The words from that letter sprung to his mind as he frowned at his thoughts. Micah jumped in surprise. What? What is it now? He really needed to get that fixed. I was about to say that sounds weird. No, surely not. He opened the door slowly, waiting to see who it was. Some small part of him hoped it would be Leon. Sure enough, a man in a suit carrying a briefcase was at his door.
Micah Riley? Niles Nell. I am an associate of your Aunt Caroline. I assume she called ahead and let you know of my coming?
Yeah, I just got off the phone with...
Excellent. Let us get this over with then. Business awaits.
He didn't wait to be invited in. Pushing past Micah, he entered the apartment, already opening his case and laying out a document and pen on the coffee table.
All I need is your signature here, here, and here, and I will be on my merry way.
What is it I'm signing exactly?
All you need to do is sign. I'm sure your beloved aunt can explain it to you later.
Not how that works. I mean, I'm sure you're all aware, but don't sign anything you didn't read. Never. He hesitated. Something about this seemed wrong. It's always if they just want to push you to sign. Always. He didn't like it. Why keep it a secret from him? What was he signing?
May I at least read the conditions before signing my name to them?
I am a very busy man, young Mr. Riley. I was assured this would be quick when I agreed to this task for Caroline.
You're in danger. Nope. No, sorry. I'm not going to sign. Nope. There's no use arguing.
Very well, Mr. Nell. You have my deepest apologies for inconveniencing you.
He didn't look convinced. He simply handed Micah the pen and indicated again where Micah has to sign. Micah leaned down to sign. However, Micah smiled to himself. He was going to get in trouble for this, but just maybe it would be worth it. Stepping away, Micah handed the documents back to the man, a slight smile hidden beneath his stone expression.
Here, you'll be needing these.
Niles Nell's face darkened as his eyes fell onto the documents Micah handed back to him. Through a strained face of professionalism, Micah could see his seething irritation.
Would you care to explain? Caroline...
Micah wasn't about to let him control this.
Well, Aunt Caroline taught me to never sign what I didn't understand.
She was the one who sent me here!
He was angry now.
Then you can tell her she taught me well. If you'll excuse me, you are in my home, uninvited, and I have work to do.
More accurately, he had research to do.
She will be very disappointed in you.
Probably. Farewell, Mr. Nell. It would appear you've wasted your time here after all.
Micah let out the breath he had been holding. He wasn't a confrontational person, but he wasn't about to be pushed around in his own home either. While he still had the energy of the encounter, he braced himself for the inevitable response call from his aunt. It didn't take long. He assumed Niles Nell called her immediately on leaving.
Explain yourself.
Here we go.
I was taught to never sign what I didn't understand, Aunt Caroline. There's nothing else to it.
What you did was incredibly immature.
Actually, it was pretty mature. Roswell the grown-up. with the brain cells should do.
Leaving all the signatures blank, Micah? Why would you do this?
I actually kind of expected for him to do like, I don't know, a drawing or something instead of a signature. Time to get some answers about my life.
Aunt Caroline? Why didn't you want me to read it before signing it?
There's no time for that, Micah. Don't turn this around. We're talking about...
He didn't let her finish.
What's Magnus Inn?
Silence. Cutting straight to it. I like it. A deafening silence that stretched on for so long it became uncomfortable.
So you do know after all. I might not have been given the chance to read through the contract, but I did pick out some key words when I pretended to sign it.
Very good.
A sales contract for an abandoned property on the outskirts of town, right?
Yes, it belongs to our family. However, the upkeep of the property is too much of a hassle, so your uncle and I have decided to sell it.
I want to see it.
And are they maybe selling it to Leon's father? Because he was talking about like an abandoned rule? I mean, there must be a connection.
No, Micah, all you need to do is sign the contract and we can be rid of the infernal place.
I don't want to. Just what is she hiding? What could possibly exist in our family that she wants it gone so badly?
No, I won't.
Micah!
I'm sorry, Aunt Caroline. I can't do that. He hung up. He hadn't wanted to cause such drama with his aunt, but he also couldn't keep going the way he was. Always in the dark about his own life. Magnus Inn. Micah sighed, once again slouched in front of his computer, digging through the internet for any mention of a Magnus Inn. His brain hurt. He hadn't come up with any results in his searches over the past few weeks, but this might have been the break he so desperately needed. He had managed to find out about the sale of a certain Magnus Inn from faking out his signature, and now he knew its address. I wonder, could Leon know anything about this? It sounds a lot like that old place he mentioned before. Yeah, there we have it. Maybe it's connected? Oh, it sure as hell is. I'll try texting him. Okay. Hey dude. I need to talk to you. Can you please message me? Nothing? Okay. Maybe he won't respond. Oh. What's up? It's kinda hard to explain over text. Can you meet me at the cafe tomorrow? After my shift? Yeah, sure, I can do that. Thanks, man. And, hey, have you been doing alright? Haven't heard from you much lately. Oh, Yeah, I'm doing fine. Just been busy with a new job and stuff. It'll blow over soon. Alright. Just take care of yourself, okay? Will do. See you tomorrow. Yeah, see ya. Micah placed his phone down on the table, staring at his messages. Something really does seem off about him. Well, at least he's agreed to meet me tomorrow. Still, Micah was just happy to finally get a response. Deep down, Micah just hoped it wasn't him that had done something to make him so distant. Something was really bothering him. I've known him for ages, and I've never seen him act like this. Well, it has to do with the deed. Like he took it and gave it to his dad, maybe? He spent the rest of the night researching the town's rural outskirts for properties that might match the very little information he had about the Magnus Inn. No exact matches, but he did find some local ghost stories about the ancient forest behind the old shrine grounds. Ghosts. He loved the stories and histories behind ghost tales, but the thought of actual ghosts was too terrifying to imagine. It would be just as luck for his family to own something haunted, though, wouldn't it? He logged off his computer and sighed, sleepily making his way towards the bed. If he kept reading these, he would never sleep, and he already had trouble enough doing that. Looking up at his dark bedroom ceiling, he mulled over all the recent discoveries and what more was in store for him. His eyelids started to feel heavy, the weight of the day's events heavy on his very body. Micah, my dear Micah, you can't hide from me forever. Waking with a start and covered in sweat, Micah felt as though he had a hand around his throat. As he struggled to breathe, he rolled out of bed and hit the floor with a thump. Slightly dazed, he stared around his room. What was that? It was like something powerful, something that didn't want me here. No, not here. Something that didn't want me to exist. As if his entire existence was being threatened. He reached up to turn his alarm off. He still had 2 minutes before it even went off in the first place. Well, 2 minutes before the alarm, that's nice, not like me with, whatever. I'll spare you this. A nightmare then. It felt so real. He touched his throat. It didn't seem injured, but he could still feel the menacing tendrils wrapped around his neck like a vice, although he knew this was only in his mind.
Whew. Shake it off, Micah. It's just your imagination. Lots has happened, and you were reading ghost stories last night, remember? It's all in my head. Talking to myself now. Maybe I'm just going crazy.
Maybe I should look for another roommate. This demo is going on for much longer than I would have thought. And I actually would have thought that he would get to the actual inn a lot sooner. I like me some slow burn, don't get me wrong. But for a demo, wow. Micah yawned as he finished cleaning the last table for the day. Today was busy. Customers filled the entirety of the cafe, and everyone was rushed off their feet. But he was glad in a way. Being busy is exhausting, but it leaves little time for thoughts other than what's happening in front of you. And after the night he had, he needed that.
Hey, stranger. Long time no see.
Yeah. Hey, yourself. So, what's up? You said you needed to talk. Is something wrong?
Not wrong, just kind of weird, you know?
Weird. Seems to be going around. Nothing.
Speaking of weird...
Let's sit. We haven't seen each other in ages.
ages is a bit of an overstatement.
They took a seat each, Leon nervously glancing at the door before correcting himself and focusing on Micah.
Hey man, I know I'm the one that called you here, and I already asked last night, but are you doing alright? You're looking kind of rough.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Work's just kind of busy is all. Not much time to unwind, you know? Plus, I'm the newbie, so I get all the crap jobs. It'll pass. Sorry for worrying you.
Work, huh? I actually wanted to ask you about work.
Leon's eyes widened in surprise.
You mentioned a while back about the house you were looking at that your old man was real keen on. Where exactly was it?
Why do you want to know?
His voice suddenly changed. Before he sounded nervous, but now he sounded borderline aggressive. It was a surprising switch, to say the least. Micah had never heard him use that kind of tone before, and especially not to him.
Shit, I'm sorry, that came out wrong. You just surprised me.
He offered a weak smile.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, just so tired. Father is obsessed with that place, and now you're asking about it too.
He sighed heavily and slumped back in his chair.
It's creepy. I feel like it's watching me and it doesn't like me. At all. Plus, it gives me wicked allergies.
The house doesn't like you?
Well, it's not really a house, more like, I'm not sure, some kind of manor maybe? It's huge, but it looks like it hasn't seen living people there for years. Why so curious all of a sudden?
Ask about the Magnus or tell him about the ghost story. Let's be straight up. I feel like he's going to evade, but I want to be honest. Let's just go with it. Should I tell him the real truth?
I haven't seen you for a while. I thought it would be nice to catch up.
Definitely not trying to get info out of you. Nope, never.
Really?
He sounds so suspicious.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that place you went to when you started lately. It didn't seem like much then, but it's gotten me curious.
You've been thinking about that? Why?
I came across something recently.
Oh? Like what?
Maybe I should risk it? We're friends, and he might know.
I was researching and found this old rural place, which sounded just like the place you went to.
Where?
Micah took a deep breath. I have to ask.
It's called the Magnus Inn. Have you ever heard of it?
Leon froze.
Don't, Micah!
Leon jumped to his feet, slamming his hands down on the table between them. Micah stared back at him in surprise. What?
What do you mean, don't?
Leon, finally realizing his outburst, returned to his seat.
You should stay away from that place. It's...
He does know then. I was right. Micah waited for Leon to continue, giving him an encouraging smile. Leon sighed, rubbing his temple and giving Micah a pleading look.
It's weird. I can't explain it. It feels menacing, like there's something there that wants to hurt you.
The house doesn't like you.
Yes, exactly! Ugh. Micah, please, stay away from it.
He sounded so desperate.
Are you sure you're okay? You seem genuinely freaked out by this place. Don't you think you're overreacting a little?
I have no choice. It's my job now. I can't disappoint him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Micah frowns. Disappoint who? His dad? Yeah. Someone else?
I have to go, but please, just promise me you won't go there. It's not safe.
You're in danger. The words seem to flash before his eyes. Those same words, always.
Micah, promise.
He was so close. I don't think we can promise this. I mean, the whole title of this is The In-Between, so I'm sure we will go to the end either way. And I don't want to lie to him. Like, even if he did take the deed and it says something to do with his father and everything, I do believe him that he's just scared and wants to protect Micah. I do believe that. Even if he's not completely honest with him. But the inn belongs to us, right? And if he says the inn doesn't like me, maybe it's because he's not from the Riley family. Ooh, I'm sorry, I can't.
I'm sorry, Leon. I can't promise you that.
I know, Micah. You forget how well I know you. Once you find something interesting, you'll chase it down until you understand everything about it.
Something like that, yeah. There's something about this place that I just have to see.
They laughed awkwardly, the building tension between them melting slightly. Leon made no move to leave. Instead, he closed his eyes and inhaled slowly and deeply before exhaling as he opened his eyes.
Leon.
Shush.
What?
I have something to give you. And I need to apologize for taking it. I was trying to protect you, but I see now it's fruitless.
He's so serious, it's a bit spooky. Just what's going on here? Out of his briefcase, he pulled a clasped paper document envelope. A legal envelope? With uncertain hands, Leon pushed the envelope towards Micah across the table. His eyes never left Micah, his anxiety visibly building the closer he pushed the envelope. Micah tilted his head, watching the envelope with confusion. He had a striking sense of déjà vu all of a sudden. As it got closer, he started to recognize the envelope. It was the same one that Mr. Harris gave him. The exact same one. The envelope that held the deed to Magnus Inn. But why does Leon have it? The envelope came to a stop in front of him. Leon's hands were trembling as he pulled back across the table. Micah stared at the package in front of him, dumbfounded.
Leon? Leon, why? How?
His voice cracked, despite his best efforts to keep his tone neutral.
Why do you have this?
I'm so sorry.
Leon didn't wait for Micah's response. He rose from his seat and rushed for the door, barely getting the door open before squeezing through it. Left in a daze, Micah stared down at the document in front of him. Like a broken string on an instrument, his attention suddenly snapped back as the ring of the door chime sounded. Leon!
Wait! No! Come back! Answer me, damn it!
Rushing to stand, he tripped on the edge of the table.
Shit.
Freezing, he turned and grabbed the document left discarded on the table. Can't lose you again. Had enough trouble getting you back in the first place. Micah rushed through the door, desperately searching for Leon. He was gone. Damn it. After a few hours wandering around in search for Leon, Micah had finally given up. His phone went straight to voicemail. He didn't even respond to any messages. In his rush, Micah hadn't even changed out of his work uniform. It was already late when he got back to the cafe to get changed. He returned to a look of deep concern from Thomas as he was preparing to close for the evening. Micah hadn't realized just how much time he'd spent looking.
Trouble in paradise? Alright, Mai, enough weirdness. Time to tell me what's been going on with you. Mer and I are concerned.
Should I?
I'm not sure you'd believe me. Hell, I don't even believe me.
Try me. You'll be surprised.
Micah took a deep breath, preparing himself for how crazy he was about to sound.
Okay. I'll tell you. Maybe you can help me figure it all out.
Thomas walked over to the front door, turned the open sign to closed, and locked it so no one could interrupt.
Floor's all yours. Mer's headed home already, but give me a sec to let her know I'll be late tonight and I'll finish up here later.
Let me help tidy up first.
You got a deal.
Micah and Thomas got to work cleaning and packing down the cafe for the night. It didn't matter what time of day it was, the cafe was always perfectly lit. Micah often found himself losing track of what the daylight was outside. It never failed to surprise him. When Micah had finished with the floors, Thomas was wiping down the bench bar. He sat down opposite him, absent-mindedly fiddling with the envelope he'd been carrying around all this time. Thomas waited patiently for him to speak.
Okay, so I guess I should start with some background context, or else this is going to make no sense at all.
The mysteries of Micah revealed? I'm all ears.
Well, you know, I was raised by my aunt, yeah?
Caroline? I've heard a thing or two.
Well, she's all I've ever really known of my family since she picked me up at the hospital as a kid.
How old are we talking here?
8 or so, I think.
Thomas made a face that could only be read as, "You poor thing."
Anyway, I had this letter growing up. A letter she didn't know about. Addressed to me from an Edwin Riley. I don't really recognize the name, but it feels special to me, you know? I have this one memory from before the accident, whatever it was, that landed me in the hospital. I'm pretty sure it's my dad, but all I can see is a blurry face in the rain.
You don't know what the accident was?
Nope. And Caroline would never talk about it.
Must be tough.
A few weeks ago, I got a call looking for Edwin Riley. The man on the phone said he had something for him, and when I told him that was my dad, he agreed to meet me here.
That's the Vanishing Man.
Yeah, that's right. A lawyer named Arthur Harris. We met here and talked a bit before he gave me this.
He laid his hands on the document in front of him.
It's a deed to a property on the outskirts of town called Magnus Inn, and a letter addressed to me from Gregory Riley. It says he's my grandfather and he's left me his inn as inheritance.
It also says I'm in danger, but he doesn't need to know that bit.
When I went to ask him more, the man was gone.
An exasperated laugh escaped Micah.
But apparently no one else saw him, so I still don't know what to think about that.
Arthur Harris. Are you sure that was his name?
He frowned.
Something wrong?
It's just... Arthur Harris. It's not possible. Unless there's another. I guess it's a pretty common name.
He started to mutter the longer his sentence went on, deep in thought.
Middle-aged, dark complexion, short grayish hair, suit. Any of that ring a bell?
Sure sounds like him. Micah, Arthur Harris. He was indeed a lawyer. And he looked exactly how you described him, but he died 15 years ago.
What? But...
Micah's head was spinning.
He was my godfather. Great man, a little weird. And he did know a Gregory Riley. They were great friends, in fact. He stayed often at the establishment Gregory owned, although I never knew where it was.
But that's...
Not possible. I did say you looked like you had seen a ghost.
A ghost who can use a phone and carry letters? Micah went pale, all the blood draining from his face.
A ghost? But he gave me this! This is real! Leon had it!
Yeah, about that. How did Leon have it? What happened this afternoon?
That's why I've been looking for him!
He buried his face in his hands, full of confusion.
The first and last time I saw it was the same day it was given to me. But then I collapsed and I lost track of it. You gave me back the letter, but the deed was gone.
The letter was on the table you were at when Leon left with you. But there was nothing else. Maybe he picked up the deed?
He said there was nothing there, though. Why would he lie? Well, technically he said he wasn't sure, right? If he got all of his stuff.
He must have.
Yeah.
Well, as I see it, there's only one thing to do.
Find Leon?
Go to Magnus.
Straight to action. Good man, Thomas. Micah looked up in shock.
Go to Magnus?
Why not? You won't find your answer stressing around here.
You're right. Everything seems to lead back to that place. Leon begged me to stay away from it before he bolted, but I have to see it for myself.
A firm hand clasped his shoulder.
Be careful, Mai. But do what you gotta do. I don't understand any of this. It seems impossible.
The hand squeezed.
And yet, it's very real to you. I can't explain it, but somehow you know about the Arthur Harris I knew, and it seems tied to your family. So, go figure out your mysteries. We'll be okay here without you for a while.
He's really too good to me. Micah had always been grateful to Thomas and Mary. They had looked out for him even before he started working at Merriment. He really didn't know what he did to fluke such amazing people. He would never be able to adequately express how grateful he was to know them.
Thank you, Thomas. You have no idea how much you and Mary mean to me.
I'm glad to hear it. We're always here if you need us. You know where we are, and if you need us, we're just a phone call away.
The hand moved from his shoulder to the top of his head before enthusiastically ruffling his hair. Micah laughed and attempted to escape the hand, but it was no use.
Can I help finish close up? I feel terrible for keeping you here so late with my problems.
It's all good, Mai. You run on home and get yourself sorted. I'd wager you have an experience waiting for you tomorrow.
Right. Well, thank you, Thomas, for everything.
Good night, Micah.
Night.
As Micah collapsed on his bed, he pulled out his phone and stared at the screen. Still no reply from Leon. Absolutely nothing. Micah sighed and dropped his phone back down on the bed next to him. He hadn't had a return of the nightmare from the previous night, but maybe that was just his pure exhaustion and a lack of ghost stories. He really shouldn't read ghost stories. He knows how anxious they make him, but he loved the history and lore behind them so much. He didn't know why ghosts in particular made him so nervous. He had never had a reason to be afraid of them. That he remembered, anyway. He had done all he could for now. Tomorrow would be interesting. Just what would he find? Ugh. So early.
It's still dark.
Regretting the decision to start the day early, he dragged himself out of bed and to the bathroom. He showered slowly, enjoying the feelings of the warm water falling around him. After he dressed and sipped at his coffee. It didn't take long for the sun to rise, and by the time he had prepared for his journey, it was already bright outside. On the table was a map he'd laid out earlier. He double-checked it, carefully looking at the location he'd decided on. He'd already armed himself with a few things that may come in handy. A map, flashlight, assorted snacks, water, a power bank. He was prepared, he thought, for what he might find out there. He planned to only spend the day searching, but it couldn't hurt to have a few provisions on hand in case there really was nothing around. Plus, he only had his bike, and who knew how long it would take to get out there on a push bike. Why didn't I buy a car instead? He'd decided to take a paper map with him too. He found it buried deep in his drawer, a remnant of a time before you could just check a map on your phone. I'm surprised they still make these things. Who uses them? Well, I do, I guess. But by how difficult this place was to find, Micah thought it would be best to prepare for bad, or no, reception. Very smart, very prepared indeed. Locking the door behind him, Micah sat on his bike, contemplating. This is a good idea, right? What's the worst that could happen? Well, there's a lot of bad things that can happen if you just visit an abandoned building alone. Like maybe you have an accident because some floorboards are old and snap, but oh well. Just saying, don't go to lost places alone. Maybe better don't go at all, but yeah. He needed answers, and this building seemed to hold them. I just wish Leon would respond to my messages. What's gotten into him? Guilt, I think. But okay, we'll see. "2 hours by bike." He was grateful for the foresight to take water with him. The further away from the city he got, the more spread out the buildings became. He expected sweeping farmland or something, but instead the tree line just got closer and denser the further out he went. The city didn't have nearly this much greenery. He had never been out this way before. He wondered why. It was still a city, but greener, the buildings older. He liked it a lot. It looked different, yes, but more than that, it felt different. It felt like it had a soul of its own. Time seemed to pass quicker with the scenery. He took note of the buildings close to his location, just in case he ever needed to come back here for anything. A convenience store, a clinic, a park. There was even a small primary school. Nostalgic buildings and places, the area felt quaint and pleasant. Before long, he rode through the outskirts and stopped at a rocky pathway, checking his map to confirm his location. This was it. The Magnus Inn. He quickly hopped off his bike and placed it by the side of a path. Continuing along the pathway, Micah found himself surrounded by a thick, dense fog. He frowned through it, trying to see where he was going. As he stopped, he noticed he was once again standing next to his bike, as if he hadn't started walking at all. What? Did I get turned around in the fog? A sudden shriek ripped through the calm fog, making every hair on Micah's body stand on end, and goosebumps erupt across his skin. Please don't be ghosts, please don't be ghosts. He took a deep breath and took another step forward. And another. And another. He could feel the fog clinging to his body as he passed through it. Dense and thick, he wondered if Leon had to get through this too. How? His foot hit something, and he froze. Slowly looking down, he saw his bike, just where he'd left it.
Again? How?
It's like every time he moved forward, the fog took him back to the start again. He was beginning to feel frustrated. Question is, does the house keep him away, or something else that wants to... Well, does it want to protect him, or... He still didn't know what that shriek earlier was either. Maybe it was just a bird. A really, really creepy bird. Maybe he didn't want to know. He closed his eyes and tried to steady his pounding heartbeat. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. He hadn't hit his bike again like last time. Maybe this was working. Maybe now he'd find the way through the fog. On his 4th step, he started to hear the gentle trickle of water, something he hadn't heard before. Then his foot once again hit something hard. But this time it didn't feel like his bike. He dared to open his eyes. Stairs.
Huh. I guess that worked.
He attempted to peer through the slightly thinning fog to see where the stairs could be leading to. His attention, however, fell firmly on the foot of what could only be a tree. A cat, sitting majestically on the top step, expertly carved. It almost looked alive.
Cats, huh? I like this place already. This can't be half as bad as Leon made it out to be.
You haven't seen much of it yet, though. He gently touched the statue, a nervous laugh escaping his throat. Cats he could deal with. But what if they're ghost cats? He shook his head, getting that stupid thought out of his mind. He turned his attention back to the statue. It felt slightly warm.
Interesting. Are you some kind of shrine kitty? The guardian of the entrance, maybe? You're doing a great job keeping it hidden. Trust me.
His mind was racing. He loved this kind of thing, but he had almost forgotten why he was even here, or his fear of the mysterious fog and his eagerness to explore more. One thing he had always loved was history, and this place looked to have loads of it. What was this fog? What was this cat? Where does the river go? What's beyond the river? Question after question raced through Micah's mind. His apprehension had somehow turned to excitement. He rubbed his chin and thought.
If you're a shrine marker or guardian, maybe you need some kind of offering.
But what? Do I have anything I could offer? Micah felt his pockets. What did he bring? His hand landed on the sketchbook he always carried with him. I wonder if this would work. He sat down on the step in front of the little statue and analyzed the figure meticulously. It's been a while since I drew something like this. Line after careful line, a tiny image of a cat formed under his pen strokes. He smiled to himself.
Hey, it's cute! What do you think, kitty?
He turned the book around to show the statue. Why am I talking to it? I probably sound crazy right now. At least no one else seems to be around.
What do you think? Will this suffice for an offering to the great cat shrine?
He smiled as he carefully tore the page out of his little book, folded it neatly and set it under the vase that was next to the cat. I didn't notice that until now, but does someone frequent here? The flowers look fresh, unless they're fake. Micah leapt to his feet as a sound echoed around him. His eyes widened as he watched the fog clear before his very eyes.
No way! Did that actually work?
There it is. Did he instinctively know what to do, or... An enormously large building sat nestled in a sea of green, and a bamboo bridge led across the stream to the opening in front of the building. It was a breathtaking sight. He felt like he was in another world, like stepping into a fairy tale. Leon said this building didn't like him, but once the fog passed, he felt something incredibly inviting. The bell again, closer this time.
Where is that coming from?
He took one last glance at the figure of the cat. He honestly found it very cool. It was rare to see things like this now. Most places like this had been bulldozed to make way for more modern facilities. As he brought his attention back to the bridge, he was surprised to find a sleek black feline sitting in the middle, its keen eyes watching him curiously.
Oh, hello there!
He slowly knelt on the step, careful not to frighten it.
Are you the one with the bell?
Slowly, Micah stretched out his hand to get close to the animal, careful not to frighten it.
It's okay, I won't hurt you, I promise. I just want to pat you.
Please let me pet you. Creeping ever closer, feline was finally close enough to touch.
Here, kitty! That's right. Over here.
His breath caught as the slow creep towards him ended in a final pounce. Joy spread through him as he scratched under the feline's chin.
Oh, such a good kitty. Yes, you are.
Enthusiasm was all that could describe the cat's response to him. It excitedly purred and affectionately headbutted his hand every time it lifted from Micah's fingers. Every time Micah's fingers left its silky fur. I love cats. I never expected to find one so friendly all the way out in a place like this. Maybe this is my lucky day after all.
You're so pretty, but I bet you know that. Oh, so it's not you?
Then what? Who? The chime of the bell sounded like it was surrounding him. Close, yet impossibly distant. The kind of sound that could be a threat. And yet, he felt no malice. No force of any kind. Instead, it sounded annoyed?
Hey, where'd you go?
Damn, the bell must have scared it off. He stood from his kneeling position, brushing off his pants.
I wonder where it went.
He was kinda disappointed it ran away, honestly.
No wonder Leon felt unwelcome here. With cats guarding the place, it's misery central for him.
He checked his phone out of habit, but wasn't surprised. No signal. Yeah, thought as much. Carefully, he took gentle steps across the bridge, watching the slow flow of the river below him. As he approached the building, he was surprised to find it looked ever more beautiful from close. He wondered just how big it really was. From the outside, it seemed rather large. Again. It sounded like it was directly in front of him now. Was it trying to lead him somewhere? He stood at the doorway, biting his lip as he thought on what to do. Is it dangerous? Maybe, but I've come all this way already. But was he sure? Whatever was behind these doors might just change his life forever. Well, as I said, if I'm going by this logically, I wouldn't go in it alone, just because it's too dangerous, but I mean, we need all the answers, yeah? So, let's go inside. He took a deep breath. Ghost cats are not. No chickening out now. He took a step forward.
All right, let's do this. This is what I came here for.
He reached forward to knock on the door.
Hello? Is anyone home?
I don't think anyone lives here, but the cat looked well looked after, and there was that flower in the vase, so someone must come here, right? It would be impolite not to knock. The door before him swung open.
Okay? Oh God, please don't tell me you're some kind of ghost cat and I'm about to get eaten. That is not the way I want to go, as much as I like cats.
He felt sick. He squeezed his eyes shut as he braced himself. Of all things, taken out by a ghost cat.
Huh?
Meow? A large black cat sat proudly on the doorway, its tail flicking happily side to side. Its large purple eyes looked up at him expectantly. Micah felt all the tension in his body release at once, falling to his knees laughing.
You scared me half to death, you silly cat!
The cat strutted over towards him, stepping up onto his lap and licking him on the forehead. This was a familiar sensation.
You know, you look like a cat I met in a dream once.
Staring into the large purple eyes, he ran his fingers down the spine of the creature. Its fur so soft, it felt like it was made of cloud.
Can I come in?
It jumped down off his lap and walked back inside the building, stopping to look back at him as if waiting for him to follow.
Do you want me to follow you?
I'm going to take that as a yes. He rose to his feet and followed after the feline. He heard the door close behind him and was plunged into darkness.
Damn, it's dark in here. I can't see a thing.
No light greeted him on the other side of the doorway. He walked gingerly down a hallway for what seemed like an eternity, bathed in darkness. Didn't you bring a flashlight? It twisted and turned, all while trying to make sure he could still hear the little soft padding of the cat paws in front of him.
Where are you leading me?
Why am I asking questions of a cat? It's not like I understand it. It does seem to understand me, though. It responds every time.
I know it's just my mind playing tricks on me, but it almost feels like you understand what I'm saying. I must be losing it.
That really doesn't help. He glared suspiciously at the cat, deciding to test this theory. Just as he opened his mouth to, the hallway ended. in its place a blindingly bright opening of the room beyond. He shielded his eyes and stepped into the new room. Blinding indeed, because it's dark in my room right now. It seemed to glow with intensity, so bright after that long, dark corridor. Squinting around the room, he saw the cat he followed casually stride towards a large pond in the middle of the room and jump up onto a rock before settling down to watch him from its perch.
Oh, wow! What is this place?
A pond in the middle of the room? A reception desk? And whatever that is on the wall, this place is something else.
I guess this place really loves cats, huh? Is that a yes?
Right. Meow. Of course. Everything in this room was spotless, perfectly preserved. Incredible.
Does someone live here? It's so clean, but I thought it was meant to be abandoned.
Oh?
What's that? No response, kitty?
I'm talking to a cat like it's a person. I'm not crazy, I'm not crazy.
There's so many places you can go from here. This place is huge. Oh, now you respond?
Micah yawned as he wandered around the room, inspecting the different elements. Oh geez, why am I so tired all of a sudden?
I guess I haven't exactly been well rested lately. How long do I even sleep for now? Whoa!
The cat jumped down off its rock and bounded up the stairs, once again stopping to make sure Micah was following.
Alright, I guess I'll follow you then. You do seem to know your way around.
He climbed the stairs after the cat, chasing after its dark shadow. The mural looked impossibly large from here. But more than that, he felt like if he reached out and touched it, it would ripple like droplets on still water. He reached out, enthralled.
Hey! What the hell?
It attacked me. The hair was raised along the spine of the cat, and its tail fluffed to a ridiculous degree. Okay, note to self, don't touch the picture.
Alright, I'm sorry. I won't touch it. Promise.
The fur slowly flattened once more, and the threatening growl dulled. Micah rubbed his wrist. Damn, I've seen cats with quick reflexes before, but that was insane. It's only a small scratch, but I'll have to make sure it doesn't get infected or something. Who knows where this cat has been? The cat continued up the stairs, back to normal. Another winding path later, and it finally came to a stop in front of an elaborately decorated sliding door.
You want it open? Alright then. I hope this doesn't belong to someone.
Prepared this time for the potential of yet another blinding light, Micah made to shield his eyes as he cautiously slid open the door. But he didn't need to. This room was shrouded in darkness. As Micah followed, a delicate scent began to fill the space, and a tiny flickering light came to life from the middle of the room. Coupled with the moonlight streaming through the open side doors, it gave the room a hypnotic glow. I didn't expect this place to be so nice. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light of his room, he noticed the open doors to the side of the room. There's a garden? Are we outside now? Didn't we go upstairs? Also, why is it dark? I mean, like the moon, wasn't it day before? The scent from earlier enveloped him, despite having never been in this building before, let alone this room. He felt so comfortable. The longer he spent smelling that scent, the more relaxed he got.
The smell. Honey?
Tearing his vision away from the glowing garden outside the room, he slowly made his way to the bed the cat was now launched on. This cat.
All right. Bossy little thing, aren't you?
Micah laughed. Talking to the cat had gone from bizarre to oddly comforting. His hand finally felt soft fabric. He sat down slowly, wary of the room he was in, even as he surrendered to its comfort.
Oh, damn. This is comfy. You know, kitty, I just might never leave this place.
It sounded excited. That was a bit disconcerting. Lost in thought about the comfort of the bed, Micah jumped when a small tickle touched his scratched wrist. Viscous.
Oh, it's just a little scratch. It's okay. It's my fault anyway.
It nudged his arm affectionately, purring loudly as it did so. Guess it feels bad, which is a ridiculous notion. But wasn't today full of entirely ridiculous notions? Micah yawned again, worn down from his travel.
Oh man, whatever's in that candle is making me so sleepy.
The cat offered no response, but a gentle lick to his wound.
I guess it's probably fine if I just take a quick nap.
A quick nap, yeah. Removing his shoes and jacket, he laid down. A soft pressure on his chest soon followed. He was barely able to finish disregarding his articles of clothing before his eyes closed, and he knew no more.
Heavy. What is that?
A heavy pressure weighed down Micah's entire body, a soft tickle on his neck. Kind of like a breath? Micah's eyes snapped open. It only took a few moments to see what was pinning him down. A man, a fully grown man. Face down, nuzzled into Micah's neck. One hand crept up the inside of Micah's shirt, and his legs curled around him. His breast tickled Micah's clavicle as he slept soundly, seemingly undisturbed by Micah's shocked awakening. Micah tried to move out from under him, desperate to escape without waking the man to avoid confrontation. His grip on him tightened, hands sliding further up Micah's chest. The most shocking thing, however, came in addition to this movement. The man was completely naked. Panic and confusion gripped Micah.
What the fuck?
Wow, well, as I said, this went on a lot longer than I would have expected. But I like it. I really like it so far. The art is great. The characters, the sprites, and also the backgrounds. Music is nice. The voice acting is very good. Yeah, if you want to play the demo yourself, I will have a link down in the description below. It's available both on itch and on Steam. And the devs currently also have a Kickstarter running. So I will link that as well.
Wait, hold up a second.
This goes on.
You're just going to leave me like this?
Yeah, sorry. I'm hungry.
Wow, Mai. You look like you're in a bit of a bind there.
Yeah. Will you cook for me? Would be nice.
Who is that guy?
Thomas! I don't know. I hope I get to find out. More importantly, though, what are you doing here? Do you know where Leon is?
Leon?
I'm right here. Sorry for running away like that, but I'm here now. We've got a story to tell, right?
I think this is where we thank everyone for playing.
Not to mention, let them know about our Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about this, thank you.
Right. Thank you for playing The In-Between. From all of us working on the game, we really hope you enjoyed the demo.
I did.
Make sure to check out our Kickstarter if you want to see the rest of the game.
I will link it below.
And, find out who Micah's new friend is, I guess?
What about you? What's your deal?
Him too, I guess.
Yeah, him. Who is he anyway?
Well, I'm sure they would have been here. But
Yeah, only the demo characters got cast, right?
Seems so.
well, we'll just have to wait to meet them properly for when all our goals are met, won't we?
Anyway, thank you for playing, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for playing the demo of The In-Between. We truly hope you enjoyed it. I did, I hope you all did too. Production on the demo began in October 2020, and October 2021 marks our official release and Kickstarter. The support we've received so far has been incredible, and we thank each and every one of you from the bottom of our hearts. If you want to see the full game, make sure to check out the Kickstarter. You can also subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive monthly content. Yep, that was it. So, the Kickstarter is still running. I think not that long anymore, like less than 2 weeks. So the game is actually already fully funded, but not all the stretch goals are met yet, including the voice acting. So even if this demo was already had the voices, they don't have the funds yet to make to have voice acting for the full game. So if you want to support the devs, go over to the Kickstarter or check them out on social media, retweet, all the fun things to help make this game get out there and be as good as it can be. Yeah, but this is it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye!